Bear down, Chicago Bears. Yesterday, I couldn't get a video uploaded, so I decided, you know what? We're going to lead off today with that video. Grab some popcorn because I've been working on my presentation, and I hope that you guys like it. So, let's get after it.
With the first pick
Wait for it.
in the 2024 NFL Draft,
Here it comes.
the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams.
There it is. With the first overall selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. But the intrigue was at the number 9 selection. And guess what? ESPN just released today a listing of the top 100 picks, the best. And the number 1 overall pick was Rome Odunze. Getting him at number 9 was the steal of the draft. The number 2, Caleb Williams at number 1. And the Chicago Bears with that have successfully completed what could be their very best draft of all time. Now, at number 41, surprisingly, on this list, Austin Booker. The reason that he was at 41 is because Austin Booker represents a raw talent that, in fact, you rarely see in college football, where he seems to have made a significant upgrade from one year to the next. And he looks to be the perfect fit to the Chicago Bears defense. And if so, and if given a little bit of time to learn under Montez Sweat, then Austin Booker might end up being the other steal of the draft. Now, the Chicago Bears have drafted Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Torrey Taylor, Kiran Emagaje, and we reached out and grabbed Austin Booker for that 5th selection in this draft. And it would now appear that the Chicago Bears are poised for a playoff run coming into 2024. Now, in the event that you, as a fan, looked at this and did not see the same thing that I saw, that we've become a playoff contender, let me point out, the first 4 games of last season were not very good. We were clearly unprepared. The question right now would be, did the team learn a lesson from those first 4 games to be more prepared? I would venture and I would posit that the answer to that is yes. If the answer to that is yes, then let's call it a split of games during that period of time. That suddenly turns this 7-10 team into a 9-8 team, and that's without improving the team in any appreciable way. Now, when you go from being a pretty bad team to start a season to a pretty decent team to end the season, let's remember the Bears were the number 1 rushing defense for the season. They were the number 1 scoring defense for the last 6 games of the season, and they were the number 1 rushing offense for all of last season as well. When you start to have those kinds of things happen, those are good things that are going on. And that would mean that most probably you won't see a 16-point collapse in 4 minutes and 54 seconds against the Detroit Lions. You won't see drops by Robert Tonyan and Darnell Mooney against the Cleveland Browns, leading to an unnecessary loss. Again, if you split those first 4 games in any way, you split those first 4 games, you're 9-8. You win just a couple more, you're an 11-6 team, and Green Bay's not making the playoffs. That's where the Chicago Bears are. Now, the question is, did they upgrade and did they get better? If we just consider, and if we just say that Caleb Williams is as good or close to as good as Justin Fields when it comes to passing, and number 2, keeping the play alive. Is he the same runner, the same quality of runner as Justin Fields? Absolutely not. Justin Fields probably in a league of his own when it comes to running, but this is the quarterback position. This is not the running back position. So if we just posit that he's going to make more or better passes, he's going to make better reads. If we just posit that those things are going to be in place, and have we made significant upgrades to the offensive line? Well, we did by virtue of not having the slowest quarterback in the league at processing plays and making decisions. Yes, we're better. Did we improve the center position? I would like to say that we've improved the center position. Nate Davis, well, with the health of his mother last year, was not in good mental state for this season. Seems to be way better. Darnell Wright probably going to have that rookie bump for the second season and get a lot better. Tyler Scott even probably going to get a lot better for that second year. Braxton Jones on the shelf for half of the season, didn't really get a chance to get into a groove, if you will. But this season, maybe things change. But we now have Matt Pryor as a capable and serviceable backup. We've got several backups that are now available that were not available last year. And perhaps that makes this a better team overall. I would like to know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think that the Chicago Bears are better? Let me also state the wide receiver core, which was DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Tyler Scott, Dominique Robinson, Trent Taylor. That was what we had to work with last season. And no disrespect to any of those guys. It took a lot to get to the NFL, but they are not the caliber of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze clocking in is probably one of these transcendent sort of wide receivers coming into a great situation. The tight ends last season, Cole Kmet and Mercedes Lewis, that seems to be on the surface a tremendous upgrade from the passing skill position, because Gerald Everett is coming in right now to replace Mercedes Lewis, and he is fantastic. And then let's not forget DeAndre Swift. Now, DeAndre Swift, is that an upgrade at the running back position over Khalil Herbert? From a passing standpoint, I want to say yes. From a rushing standpoint, let's call it a break even though DeAndre Swift had 1,100 yards last season. I think Khalil Herbert would have had this team been more prepared and more structured. But we remember, we're the number one rushing offense, and that includes Roschon Johnson, who had 39 receptions as a receiver. So is DeAndre Swift a significant upgrade? No, but he is an upgrade. So everything about this team is better. And if everything is better, how do you not make the playoffs? Well, that comes to coaching. Did we upgrade the coaching? At every spot along the coaching staff, there seems to be a significant upgrade. Remember, we lost our running backs coach and our defensive coordinator for some still unknown reason early on in last season, and they were not replaced until the end of the season. Matt Eberflus, meanwhile, is going to continue calling plays on defense. I think that this is going to be an incredible team next year, and that we're going to witness the revival of the Chicago Bears. But I will ask you, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And there you have it. I wasn't able to run that back, if you will, yesterday. Not sure exactly what happened. I was trying to upload that onto Twitter to YouTube all day long, and for some reason it would not let me upload it. So let me know what you think in the comments, because I think no matter what, this is a much improved team. And can we nitpick? Sure, we can nitpick everything about the team until we're blue in the face, but there are still an enormous amount of positives coming into this season. Now, predominantly what we discussed in that video was, number one, ESPN Plus released its ranking system, their ranking system that basically said, what they think of certain positions, certain players, blah, 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 coming out of the draft. And number one was Rome Odunze, not because they considered him to be the number one player, but the fact that he dropped all the way to number 9 and was an easy get at that position. And what he says about it is, Chicago's second pick of the first round was a favorite of the entire draft for a few reasons. Not only was this a great value for Chicago, the difference of 6 spots in ranking versus slot inside the top 10 is huge, but it's also smart to help your rookie quarterback with a star rookie wide receiver. It also helps that Caleb Williams and Odunze have been working out together since the 2023 college season ended. Odunze led the nation in receiving last season and fills out a potentially really good offense. And then number 2 on the list was Caleb Williams. The Bears go back-to-back here for me. Maybe it's cheating to say the number 1 overall pick in the draft ranks this high, but the Bears didn't overthink this and landed a potential star at quarterback to turn things around. Plus, they dedicated efforts throughout the process to building a system around Williams in which he can thrive. In a year with 6 quarterbacks selected in the top 12, the Bears didn't have to move around the board and drafted the best passing prospect of the past decade. So, and this is coming from ESPN, KO. This is an ESPN Plus article. You just have to, if you're a Disney Plus subscriber or whatever, then you have access to it. Now, we're going to skip through a bunch of this. You can see here, there's a few of them that kind of came up, and I guess we can go through a couple here. We had Marvin Harrison coming in as the number 3 win. Then we had Xavier Worthy at number 4. Xavier Worthy, by the way, entering a fantastic opportunity. I don't know if he's going to hold up. I mean, again, the guy's 170 pounds. I would be curious to see how that's going to work out, but he shows the potential, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Then Jaden Daniels, Zach Frazier coming in as he was available at the number 29 spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They were to pick him up. Adonai Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Dallas Turner, Terrion Arnold, Malik Neighbors, Quinyon Mitchell, Byron Murphy, Joe Alt, Enos Rakestraw, Peyton Wilson. But now let's move down here just a little bit until we get to the number 41 right here. And then we got another one, and that was Austin Booker coming in. Xavier was out of draft picks after selection number 122, but traded back into the 5th round to get Booker, a developmental pass rusher with just over 500 snaps in college. Booker put out tape against Illinois and Texas that made you think he would be a top 75 pick. His rawness led to a fall, but he's a great understudy for Montez Sweat and offers similar upside as a pass rusher. So 3 of the selections are in the top 50 for the Chicago Bears going into this season, which is a pretty big number. So, but let's move on. We got rookie analysis here, and there's quite a few. Look, there's quite a few things, if you will, to like about each and every one of these guys that are getting drafted, and I think it's important to kind of point out what these guys offer, how good they are. We're not always going to agree, by the way. There's never going to be, we're not going to come to a total accord that, this player or this player or this player is going to be like the best in the draft. But we should at least be able to acknowledge that Caleb Williams, as the number 1 overall pick, is probably the one with the most pressure on him. However, does not appear to be experiencing the same amount of pressure that you might otherwise see from previous number 1 picks or even top 10 draft picks. Breakdown. Williams is a player with a skill set that perfectly aligns with offensive coordinator Shane Waldron's vision. Williams brings an impressive combination of precision passing, especially off platform, the agility to evade defenders, and a fiery competitive spirit. Williams will be the starting quarterback right out of the gate, and the Bears have already equipped him with a necessary support to excel. This isn't just a draft pick, it's a statement. A 2-year starter at USC, Williams was a playmaking quarterback at head coach Lincoln Riley's RPO spread scheme with air raid concepts and heavy play action. One of the most decorated and productive players in USC's history, he set single-season school records for passing yards, touchdowns, accounted for more plays of 20 yards than anyone in history and anyone over the last 2 seasons. With his base and body balance, Williams is a ready-to-throw position to deliver throws anywhere on the field with velocity and accuracy. What makes him special is his poise and mobility to masterfully buy time and create second chance plays. Although he tends to be overconfident in his ability to find answers among the chaos. He led the FBS in touchdowns and wow plays over the last 3 years, but he also led the country in fumbles over that same span and needs to take better care of the football. Something that I think he already knows, of course, and we'll see whether or not that happens. I think the team will probably look at this and say, you know what, this actually is true. We need to work on this. So I figure, and I think that they'll come up with a mechanism by which they'll really look at him and, we got to clamp down on this football. You can't turn the ball over every single game. You can't win in the NFL if you're doing that. So will he protect the ball better? That remains to be seen. He needs to be more consistent, working on schedule from the pocket, but you live with the hiccups because the positives are special, and his dynamic passing skills and instinctive ability to create. Although stylistically, he is a really impressive karaoke style version of Patrick Mahomes, he is a unique playmaker. So very high on Caleb Williams coming into this. And now we get into the steal of the draft, Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze came in at 6'3", 212 pounds. Big guy from Las Vegas, Nevada. His physicality and ability to win contested catches makes him an ideal target in the red zone and on third downs. His strong hands and body allow him to make difficult catches in traffic, providing a reliable option for the quarterback when the play breaks down. Odunze's size also makes him an effective blocker in the run game, which is crucial in Waldron's scheme, which relies heavily on the outside run. Which, by the way, this this is going to be pretty exciting. The Bears like to run up the middle. Like we didn't really do a whole lot of jet sweeping. And if you look, by the way, Darnell Mooney, Trent Taylor, part of the jet sweep last year, never really had a lot of success. So, but having some outside runs going to be interesting for this offense. A 3-year starter at Washington, Odunze primarily lined up outside of former offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb's spread scheme. His production improved each season, including an All-American 2023 with an FBS best 1,640 receiving yards and an elite first down touchdown rate of 80.4. Odunze is field fast with fluid route running and above average tracking adjustment skills to secure catches in high traffic areas or create explosive plays downfield. He had 32 catches of 20 plus yards, the second most in the FBS. His body control at the catch point was always been a strength, but he took a major stride in 2023 with his ability to play through contact and use focused concentration to win 50-50 balls. He is an above average height, weight, and speed, with pass catching instincts and a competitive focus to be a playmaker in the NFL. He projects as a true X receiver and has the skill level to elevate his quarterback's play. A team captain with good size and elite ball skills, he's consistently dominated his competition. While most receivers look to open separation windows with speed or route running, he seems to relish jump balls and contested catches. He shines in all aspects of ball skills, including positioning, body control, hand strength, timing, and mid-air adjustments. He has a tendency to cruise through routes rather than working his attention to detail and pacing. He was a decorated high school sprinter, so speed won't be an issue. He's a high volume target on that next level playing for play callers. He has a high volume, he is elite ball skills, and often these are the secret sauce for the top NFL receiver, so it should be no surprise that he's going to be a day one starter and he will become a top flight wide receiver one. Now, that of course allows for us as a team to move on from Keenan Allen after one season if Keenan Allen wants too much money. And that's going to be the question for this team going forward. Is Keenan Allen going to be that guy that will come back? We're not going to pay him $20 million. I don't think, anyway, as a receiver. So we might be renting Keenan Allen in order to teach Rome Odunze what he needs to know in order to be more successful. And then we move on. We're going to skip, by the way, because I want to go to Austin Booker since he was number 3 on this list. He is a speculative prospect, but he's a speculative prospect with what looks to be a tremendous upside. 6'4.5", 240 pounds, from Greenwood, Indiana, which is a suburb, I think, of Indianapolis. I think my mother used to go there to play bingo when I was a kid. The breakdown, the Bears finally add a defensive player to the rookie class. In 2023, he had 9 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures, and 12 tackles for loss. It's an impressive stat line. NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah said Booker could have been a late first-round pick next year if he had gone back to school. So it certainly feels like Chicago landed a steal in Booker in the 5th round. A sub-package player at Kansas, he lined up wide of the offensive tackle in defensive coordinator Brian Borland's versatile front. After he saw only 23 snaps in 2 seasons at Minnesota, he transferred to Lawrence and led the team in sacks, tackles for loss, and forced fumbles. Despite coming off the bench, averaged 40 snaps per game, although he is still trying to figure out how and when to access his big bag of tricks. He instinctively uses his rangy frame to create various leverage points and surprise blockers with forceful hands. He is lean on his lower half, but he plays well versus the run to stack, stay balanced throughout contact, and track the football. Overall, Booker is lacking in body mass and overall experience, but he is an ascending player with the ability to maximize his athletic traits and body length force with proper biomechanics. With his tools and instincts, he's projected to be a rotational player in year 1 with the potential to become an impact starter. Now, this is the guy that everybody should be questioning if we're going to take that next big step then what does it look like with Austin Booker? And look, he's going to have to add some size to his frame. He's not NFL ready, and I think we said this a couple days ago. 6'4.5", that's NFL ready. 240 pounds as an edge rusher, that's a little bit light. If he can pack 15, 20 pounds of lean muscle mass onto his frame, and he can work on his quickness and maintain it, then this guy's going to be a special, or could potentially be a special pass rusher. But we're going to have to get there, and we'll have to see how it plays out. Now, in the offseason, it's nothing for a guy to put on 5 or 10 pounds of lean muscle mass in a few months, if that is the case, depending on what his workout looked like before and how the Bears deem him going forward. Now, I do think that they're going to want to have some size, because otherwise he's going to get pushed around. Now, that does mean that, he'll have to work on this. He is a project, but he is a project with a huge potential upside. So I think the Bears did a fantastic job in picking up Austin Booker. Now, the hometown kid, this is the man right here. I'm super excited about this, not because I don't think he brings anything special other than that any other offensive tackle doesn't do already. And he was ranked, by the way, in a lot of the ESPN articles as the number 72 overall prospect. By the way, Austin Booker, number 73. So getting him in the 5th round as what would add up to an early 3rd round pick, getting him in the 5th round was a massive win for the Chicago Bears. Giving up a 4th round next year for a 5th round this year, who's probably going to be a late 1st round and missed out on the 3rd. All of the things in place for Austin Booker, if he continues to improve, tremendous. Same thing for Karan. Round 3, pick number 75. He came in, even famously, for those of you that don't know, went to a golf course, told Matt Eberflus, who was on the golf course at that time, told Matt Eberflus that he was going to draft him. And he's serious, but nobody knows what's going to happen there. And he ends up getting drafted. It's incredible. The story here so far, coming out of Yale. And look, that means, in my opinion, he is academically a pretty sharp guy. Now, if that is the case and that translates into his fundamentals, then this guy could be something special. Amagaji has the versatility to play guard, having played multiple positions along the offensive line in his collegiate career. He started his first 10 games at left guard before switching to left tackle for the final 14. He has a nice blend of size, athleticism, and length, but he needs time to develop. Perhaps Amagaji can push starting tackle Braxton Jones, who has plenty to prove heading into his 3rd season and working his way into a starting role down the line. And listen, to get somebody like this, sent a message to Braxton Jones, and now I'm incredibly curious exactly how this pushes Braxton Jones to get better. Now, he has made tremendous strides. We have to be honest. He has made tremendous strides. However, we've got to have that next level guy. Remember, we did see Darnell Wright have an impressive beginning to his season, falling off a little bit towards the end. Now, having a full year of NFL experience, now coming back for the next year, Darnell Wright should improve by leaps and bounds and be a better right tackle than he was before. Same thing applies to Braxton Jones. In his 3rd year, he should end up being something of a more polished and more developed guy, even though we are moving into a different offensive scheme. I think that fundamentally, if he improves as a player and we improve in our play calling and our quicker reads, then it's going to make his life, Darnell Wright's life, every one of their lives, a little bit easier. I think Caleb Williams represents a better opportunity for the team. And I think that we're going to look way different. I think you're going to be surprised. It's my opinion. You're going to be very surprised with how the offensive line is able to hold up with a guy like Caleb Williams being able to throw to men like DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, DeAndre Swift. You're going to have a lot of offensive weapons, so you'll be able to make a lot of quick reads, and you'll make the job on the offensive line so much easier. Now, to continue, a 3-year starter at Yale, Amagaji's lined up at left tackle the last 2 seasons. After not playing football until midway through high school, he put himself on the NFL radar with his ascending play in the Ivy League. Although his season-ending injury in 2022 was disappointing, he missed half of his final season, and NFL scouts were unable to see him face better competition at the Senior Bowl. From a size and athletic standpoint, he pops on film because of his rare length, light feet, and smooth body control to mirror pass rushers or create momentum as a run blocker. Though he does a great job repositioning his hands and feet, his inexperience is also apparent when it comes to timing and adjustment fundamentals. These are the things that you can improve. You can improve your ability to. You cannot improve on certain aspects. Your light feet, I think that's pretty natural. You can practice and you can get a little bit better and have smooth body control. Again, those are things that you instinctively either have or you don't. And length for sure is something that you can't just work in the gym for that, right? There are certain things you either have or you don't have. The things that you can work on, the fundamentals, positioning your hands, positioning your feet, moving with your opponent, creating momentum. There are things that you can do that you learn, and I think that this guy seems like the kind of guy who's going to learn this as we go. Now, of course, if Caleb Williams makes this easy on everybody, then it becomes easy on Karan as well, because he'll get some substitution time. He'll get some real world experience in the NFL. They'll put him in there for a play or two against some of the advanced ends in the game and see how he holds up. Well, it'll be an opportunity to teach him and learn on the job. And if he's ready for it, then this is going to be a fantastic pickup for the Chicago Bears. He projects as a backup left tackle as a rookie, but he has all the tools to develop into an NFL starter. And it's considered that he has a rare blend of athletic traits and eye-popping length, and do not, according to ESPN analysts, don't bet against Kiran Emagaji. And that leads us to Legatron. Now, I don't know what name we're going to end up giving him, but I'm going to vote for Legatron. Al Petroselli, don't get carried away with the best Bear draft ever. Do you forget the 1983 Hall, 7 Super Bowl starters and 2 Hall of Famers? You're writing a story that was written 40-something years ago. Why don't you let this story continue to write itself out and complete itself? Because in the event that we have 2 Hall of Famers, then it would be Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams, most probably, in this. So if we're talking about Hall of Famers, there's the potential that it matches up perfectly well, that we have the same thing. And having 7 Super Bowl starters, that's just because you have a lot of picks. And that doesn't mean that it was the best draft ever, but it could well be, and we will see. However, most of the people that watch this shit weren't even born at that time. That was 41 years ago. So pamp that shit down just a little bit. And look, I'll recognize the 85, the 39 years ago, the 85 Bears in the Super Bowl had a good run. So yes, great, but I don't live back then. That's the McCaskies that you're thinking of. I'm thinking of right now, and in the immediate future, there is no better potential draft. And of course, this comes over 2 years, because we made a trade out of number 1 last year, ended up picking up, we ended up with DJ Moore, we ended up with Darnell Wright, we ended up Tyreek Stevenson. There's a whole bunch of people, and had a good. I mean, what are you supposed to say? 1 Super Bowl. I mean, you won 1 Super Bowl, and then couldn't get back into the Super Bowl the next year or the year after, and then the wheels fell off. I mean, look, you had a good team. And by the way, I did just recently watch a documentary about the Bears in 1985 through I think it was through the eyes of Jim McMahon, really, and how the team was going. He had interviews with Steve McMichael, had interviews with William Perry. It was a lot of fun. It was on ESPN. And does that mean that I was there for it? No, I was a kid at the time. Like, Jesus Christ. But I one Super Bowl. 1 Super Bowl. As many Super Bowls as Lovie Smith had. I mean, yeah. And that's fine. They allowed 10 points the entire postseason one time, right? One run. But that's okay. Like, I'm not saying that it's not the greatest defense. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, why don't we give this one a chance while you're talking about that one? You're already dismissing this one in that context. And I'm not going to do that because guess what? Engagement farm. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. If I don't do hyperbole, if I don't do this is the best players in the draft evaluation, if I don't say this is the greatest draft of all time, people don't tune in. You guys forget, at least some of you forget exactly how the thumbnails and all this bullshit works. So anyway, let's move on to Tory Taylor, or as we're going to call him, Legatron. While it might seem early for Chicago to draft a punter, Tory Taylor is the star at his position. He'll be a weapon for his team in how he can flip the field for the Bears defense with impressive leg strength. It's not hyperbole to say Taylor was Iowa's offense last year. He averaged 48.2 yards per punt last season, setting the single season punting record and earning recognition as the Ray Guy Award winner as the nation's top punter. His leg strength matches his impressive size. No punter was allowed to ply their craft more in recent years than Taylor, thanks to a struggling Iowa offense. He's proven to possess the power of an NFL punter, and in hang time, fairly solid when the rugby-style punts are removed from the evaluation process. The directional punting and touch will need resharpening, but Taylor could come off the board in the middle rounds and find work in the league, and that's exactly what happened. He came out in the middle of the draft. We got our guy, and I think Ryan Poles said it best. This is a positional thing. You know what I mean? There we go. And that leads us to Heard It on the X. So if you guys are so inclined, then I would encourage you to go to, by the way, for those of you that don't know, or for those of you that didn't see, my Twitter was hacked yesterday, and I do not have control of it. So in the event that anybody is following me and you texted me or anything like that, then remember that I'm not in control of that account. Don't give them your seed phrase or your cryptocurrency, and don't send me any cryptocurrency for that matter. But that does mean that I'm using my other account. So let's kick this off with, if you haven't already, go follow at official JCHI. Lance Briggs jersey giveaway is happening right now on X. So to honor one of the Bears greats, we're giving away an autographed Lance Briggs jersey. To enter, follow official J Shy, like and retweet this tweet, and then comment Bear Down. Now, winners we selected during 5 and 6 shows. I shared it, and I did that, but I didn't put Bear Down because I don't want to be the winner. I don't need the jersey. But you guys should go in there and make sure that you use the Bear Down logo for this drawing to qualify. And if you're interested, then you might be able to win a Lance Briggs jersey. Also, Ryan Poles on Caleb Williams, talking about his special qualities. I don't know if you agree with this or not. It doesn't really matter because it's really just somebody's opinion. It's Ryan Poles' opinion. It matters more than ours does. But this is what he likes about Caleb Williams: his playmaking, his pocket awareness, his ability to manipulate the pocket, his spatial awareness, seeing the entire field, his intermediate accuracy, his downfield accuracy, his work ethic, and his intangibles. We feel confident that he's going to be able to reach his ceiling. That should get you excited about what could happen with the Chicago Bears going into this season. Again, this is going to be his first season, so there will be some growing pains. We won't experience. It would be wildly incredible to experience a Super Bowl run and actually see all of this stuff come to some sort of fruition. That's a pie in the sky wish, but I do think that we're a playoff team. I do think that we'll play like a playoff team and make it into the 2024-25 playoffs. So next up, this is the ranking system on The Athletic. When I said that before, I said ESPN, but I feel like It was actually The Athletic. They had Caleb Williams listed as the number 1 overall player. They had Marvin Harrison, Drake May, and Malik Neighbors 2, 3, and 4. Then they have Rome Odunze at number 5. So we went to the 9 pick and picked up the number 5 player. We got the number 1 with the number 1. But then the important one over here was Kieran was number 72. Austin Booker was number 73, making them high 3rd round picks. And we got them in the 4th and 5th rounds. So I do feel like the Chicago Bears ended up with a really great haul. Again, if you want to argue that it's probably not historic, that's cool. But we won't have, if these guys have 10-year careers, 15-year careers, we won't know the summary of that for 10 or 15 years. And then you have to wait 5 more years before the Hall of Fame. I think that is. So let's just pamp that shit down a little bit and give these guys some time to play. And it's not disrespectful of previous teams, because these previous teams, they're all hoping to see the Bears relive some of this glory. We're all hoping for it. So, yeah. Anyway, an underrated Chicago Bears camp invite is John Jackson III. Now, here is the thing. I don't know that he'll even make the roster. I don't know that he'll ever even make the roster. I'm sorry. So Crimson says Karan was 75, 3rd round. So we got him right at his expected sort of place. We got him, right around where he was best available. Austin Booker was a steal, though, if he's ranked in that 3rd round position. So an underrated Chicago Bears camp invite was USC wide receiver John Jackson III, the best friend and brother of Caleb Williams. Not a real brother, but you get it. They're best buddies. Per his wide receiver trainer, he's going to surprise everybody in the Bears organization. I don't know that that's going to be the case. I don't know that John Jackson III is even going to make the roster. I don't know that to be the case at all. So I'm unsure whether this guy is as good as advertised, if you will, because he did not get drafted. That we have to recognize that. So there might be some questions about his ability to begin with. But here we go. We've got John Jackson, Caleb Williams' best friend. We didn't get Brendan Rice, which was probably an easy, a couple of completions. But John Jackson, if John Jackson comes into training camp and Caleb Williams is able to, because he's familiar, make a lot of throws to him, get him involved in the offense and practice and stuff like that, then it makes Caleb look good because he's familiar with the guy's route running, and it makes him look good, and maybe the guy makes the practice squad. So this could be another important steal in this draft, even though he was undrafted, if you will. Then, if you haven't already, go look at the interview with DJ Moore, where he talks about the anticipation is there. That's one of the things that's better. And that's the point to this is DJ Moore is telling people that receiving the ball from Caleb Williams is better than Justin Fields, that he's giving him a much better pass option. So there you go. We're getting the wide receiver who was a big fan of Justin Fields, who did not like the fact that Justin Fields was gone, who's now looking at Caleb Williams saying, you know what? He's better. He's so far he's better. Whether he's a better player overall remains to be seen. He's got to play some games in the NFL first before we can really evaluate it. So there is a possibility that he's not as good as we say, but it certainly does look like he's coming in. And by the way, you can watch me on X as well, because I am live streaming that on X. Also, this was we play hard, we play fast, and we play violent. This was Ryan Poles on the culture of the Chicago Bears. Play hard, play fast, play violent. That's exactly the kind of wildness that you want to hear from your general manager. These are the acquisitions: Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Kevin Byard, Gerald Everett. You got returning starters Jalen Johnson, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Tremaine Edmonds, TJ Edwards, Montez Sweat. Guys, this is a great opportunity. This is a fantastic team that it looks like. And Ryan Poles, his credit, he feels like he has crafted a team that could be one of the it could be important. It could be incredibly important to see this team start to develop. And is he right? Is he right? Will they play hard? Will they play fast? Will they play violent? Well, you play too violent in the NFL, you just get flagged and people start crying and shit like that. But otherwise, this could be a fantastic team overall. So let me know what you think over here. Crimson said, but that's not what we saw on the field the last 2 seasons, is it? Well, it's what we saw in the last half of the season. Except Green Bay. I know. I mean, I know it's except Green Bay, but Green Bay only scored 17 points. Now you could say, well, because they didn't have to, but they didn't score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. You know, Green Bay should have scored 48 points or 49 points. They did. They scored 17 points. We were within a touchdown of catching them. We have to make 2-point conversion, but that's within a touchdown. So no matter how you look at it, and I know that they weren't stressed. I know that they didn't punt. I know all of the things, but they also didn't score more than 17 points. So again, that game was close enough that had Justin Fields done anything, then that would have pressed Green Bay. And, you know, Green Bay controlled the game. You know, we'll admit that. But the Chicago Bears at that point, they didn't have Keenan Allen. They didn't have DeAndre Swift. They didn't have Rome Odunze. They didn't have Caleb Williams. They didn't have Kevin Byard. They didn't have Gerald Everett. They didn't have a bunch of people who were catching the ball. They didn't have they weren't able to do the things the Chicago Bears should have been able to do, like move the ball downfield and make Green Bay stress just a little bit. The fact that they didn't do that is a testament to why Justin Fields and Luke Getsy are not here, not why the rest of the team is still here. I mean, we have to acknowledge, sure, there were problems, but we also have to acknowledge that this was a team with a winning record after those first 4 dumpster fire games, and that they started to put together a pretty decent end of season. They went 5-3 at the end of this season, which is enough that given a full season, that was a playoff contender, and they're a better team now. So as a playoff contender, we'll see. And it would be fair to say, yes, Jordan Love looked pretty comfortable in the pocket. I was frustrated by the fact that I watched it and they weren't getting they weren't getting enough pressure on him. But guess what? I'm also wise enough to know that this was not going to matter in a season where they were not playing for the playoffs. They were not, there was nothing other than beating Green Bay, and at that point was not enough, because this team was not good enough, because it didn't have a good enough quarterback or a set of wide receivers. They were not good enough to pressure that defense. They just weren't good enough. This year, they're better. Even if Caleb Williams is just as good as Justin Fields, or even worse than Justin Fields at maneuvering or mobility, but he makes just a few more passes, just a few more. If he just acts like the quarterback that he's been his entire life, this is a better team with way more weapons and fundamentally an ability to score almost at will if this plays out right. And if it doesn't, then we go to noodle arm Tyson Bagent, and guess what? He's been whipping the ball around and he's been improving his strength and conditioning. So, even if Caleb Williams has a problem, Tyson Bagent, I mean, he's not the answer, by the way. He's not going to be the answer. But whoever is the quarterback, if Caleb Williams falters, whoever is the quarterback is going to have a vast group of receivers, running backs, and a decent offensive line in order to help the team. So anyway, that's my time, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is one of those things where Vizzo Joe says if we would have beaten Green Bay, we wouldn't have gotten Odunze in the draft. That's possible. He had fallen to number 9. We were lucky to get him at number 9. There were some, and we may have been forced to move up, and it would have cost draft capital. So everything worked out to the benefit. Hopefully, it continues to work out to the benefit. Trey Hendrickson wants to be traded. Should Poles trade for him? Yeah. So Echo Bean, the conversation right now is that that trade is being worked on, and that Khalil Herbert is part of the trade. But we don't know until we get some confirmation of it. We're not going to really know what's happening. But it would be an interesting trade. I don't have a problem with the defense that we have right now. But if he's an upgrade, if he represents an upgrade, then yes, let's absolutely go out and let's get him. I think Khalil Herbert is now kind of on the outs. He's in, this is his, option year. So, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's a good runner. But, they obviously made a decision on DeAndre Swift, and Roschon Johnson was as good as Khalil Herbert last season and caught more balls out of the backfield. So I think that they're really looking at Roschon Johnson as their future at running back, or at least a backup to DeAndre Swift, and not Khalil Herbert. So Khalil Herbert, I think, becomes capital to move on. So it's my opinion, but I feel like we're going to hear an announcement pretty soon of Khalil Herbert. And if we do, then there we go. We got our defensive end. Hopefully he'll be better than what we have right now. But again, I don't have a problem with DeMarcus Walker. I think that DeMarcus Walker is putting in the work right now, and probably a little bit better. And if he's a little bit better, and if his defense is just a little bit better, then it's going to be a phenomenal season. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. Bear down, and we'll talk to you again on